Namaste. Today we are presenting this video on environmental problems. These are not the normal environmental things that people are working on, like pollution, global warming, plastic bags. These are the invisible environmental negative factors in our life, especially in this modern life, how things have changed. And it's not just to frighten you, but we will also give you solutions on how you can counteract these ill effects. Now, because this electronic smog, it's mostly electronic smog we will be talking about, it's invisible. And anything invisible is like a ghost. And therefore, we have come to this altar of the biggest ghost buster. So, because we are dealing with ghosts, so to speak, so we will start by honoring this deity of the ghosts of all ghosts. And we prostrate to this master and to help us in fighting the invisible environmental pollutants or the invisible ghosts. Thank you. The last 50 to 100 years, we have experienced a major shift in evolution. It was for several thousands of years before this that there were no big changes. People lived more or less the same way for a long, long time. But ever since this last century, there have been such major changes that it appears that evolution has stepped up its pace, it's accelerated, and therefore we have found a lot of changes in our environment. Perhaps for the betterment, but it comes with its ill effects. It's a side effect of everything. So I can recall in my earlier childhood, I come from a very remote village, and I consider myself fortunate. We did not even have a road to approach the village. We lived in mud houses, which were fully earthed, obviously, and we had no electricity. In fact, electricity has just been accepted in the village pretty recently. So there was no electromagnetic radiation. In fact, there were not even water pumps. Water was drawn from wells in leather bags hauled by bulls, and that was the water used for irrigation. And in fact, the people were so poor, there were no banks around to keep money. There was nothing much to buy, so there were no pesticides. The only pesticides used were the organic neem, the freely growing neem, which is a fantastic pesticide. And the only fertilizer used was cow dung. And therefore, that is the food which is today, I think, almost impossible to get. So that kind of life is not to be seen anymore. So we have to accept the negativities that we are living with. And in these videos, we are going to teach you on how to counteract these. So take the benefit of the modern developments, but at the same time, protect yourself. Because by the time medical science catches up to the ill effects of these things, it's already too late. In fact, medical science loves to put labels on disorders. They put a label on cancer, they put a label on diabetes, but they still don't have a label for this invisible electronic pollution. So by the time the label comes up, it's going to be too late. So we're going to take care of all those factors. If we go back about 60 years ago in India, and perhaps a little bit earlier in the more developed Western countries, electricity was produced by DC generators, direct current generators, and it was transmitted at the low voltage also in direct current. Our houses had direct current supplies. You had a positive line and you had a negative line. And direct current, fortunately, does not produce any induction force or electromagnetic force in the environment. Now, due to various reasons, because there are a lot of electrical losses in direct current, so engineering modified generators to alternating current, which goes in waves. And the transmission of this electricity is done at a very high voltage in order to reduce the losses in transmission. And the electricity supplied to your homes is alternating current. In fact, you have cables laid down in the walls of your homes and the lights. And you may be surprised that they all have an electromotive force going around. There's the induction current. In fact, when you test the high voltage cables in the transmission lines and you use a live line tester up to about 40 feet away from the cable, you can check that it is still live. The induction field is more than 40 feet radius from the electrical cable. So wherever these overhead lines are passing, there have electrical effects which harm not only humans, they harm the crops, they harm the trees. Now, you would wonder that people now in modern cities, they've started laying the underground cables. Well, if you lay it underground, you save the problem in the air, but you also destroy the negative ions that come from the earth, which are so required for your well-being. So whatever way you look at it, it does cause a certain amount of damage, and we have to have ways on how to protect yourself. After that, the internet. The internet earlier was just simple computers, and you need LAN cables. Yeah, things were not so bad, but now it's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's Wi-Fi, there's free Wi-Fi, there's paid Wi-Fi, and it's just accepted as a normal thing. Just like you need air to breathe, you need Wi-Fi to survive. And believe me, those signals are very, very damaging. And then we started with cell phones. And I will be showing you in this video a study that I conducted on the energy of the chakras changing with a conventional cell phone, a voice phone, and how the chakra of the heart and the chakra up to your solar plexus was losing its energy just by holding a phone in the standby condition. And I would love maybe sometime to do a similar experiment on the smartphone, but it is going to be quite frightening to see the frequencies emitted by the smartphones and what it is actually doing to you. But we can today scientifically see that happening. But the world is such that certain things are not informed very well so that they don't frighten you. And as they say that exposure to these waves is not going to kill you, true. But the accumulated exposure will definitely have a certain effect. It is just like taking arsenic. Yeah, you take a homeopathic dose of arsenic, it's not going to kill you. But its accumulated use over a long period of time will definitely have some ill effect. Now, this study on the cell phone is going to shock you, but it is not being shown to you so that it frightens you. You can use cell phone harmonizers, and many of them are going to come into the market now. But be sure that they are genuine. In fact, get them tested, that they really work. Otherwise, you could be fooling yourself that you're harmonizing the frequencies, but nothing really is happening. And now, whatever electronic components you have in your home or office, have you noticed that little blue light that comes? Now they say that blue light is very harmful. So, and the manufacturers are still putting the blue lights there. And you're advised just tape up those blue lights because everything seems to be causing a damage. And now LED lights have become so popular. Well, we don't know yet what LED does. So let's hope for the best. I still am happy with my old style incandescent lamps with a slightly yellow light because it simulates the light from a lantern or from a candle. But anyway, the choice is yours.